All right, friends, we're gonna do another video on JasonBlaha, man. It's T-Man. We're gonna do a video on the gym lifting recruiting fitness slave himself. Gonna do a reaction video. Yeah, man. All right, Blaha says gaining muscle and strength at the same time. Okay, it's gonna be interesting.
All right, let's talk a little bit about gaining muscle and strength at the same time. It feels like a lot of times people don't understand that these are things that can be done concurrently, and the fact of the matter is they absolutely do not interfere with each other.
Concurrently, yeah, they only ever happen in an adaptation process. If you have to do something very specific to get that adaptation. And usually the majority of people, they complain because they only ever get it once, and then they complain. They go, I got a newbie gain, a newbie limit. I'm a hard gainer. I can't gain anymore because it's based on an adaptation process. That's why you can't come in every single day lifting in the gym, because that domain has ended. Well, people really don't understand that during that hypertrophic process, when you first came into the gym, when you were untrained, there's a limit how much the satellite cell can donate its nuclei to that domain. You understand me? To support muscle growth. That it ends. You understand? Yeah, I'll bring it up in a second, just to explain.
Anyway, the only thing that people don't realize with this is that a lot of times bodybuilders are not always training specifically for max strength, because it doesn't always carry over to what they do, even though some of them do train for it year-round and have won the Mr. Olympia, like Ronnie Coleman.
Again, he's bringing up steroid people. They're failures. That's why there's nobody out there. There's very few people that I know out there that are natural that actually moved for multiple adaptations. It's a process. It's a training to fucking build muscle in an adaptation. It really just protects your body. The muscle really just protects your body from trying to build any more muscle. That's why it's so much harder to build muscle when you come back to the gym the second time, because it's now with a repeated bout of the same stuff, it's protected. Yes, dude. Huh? Oh man, I think I did videos on it. It's in my community section. It talks about it, man. They talk about it. Look, I can bring it up really quick. Just 1 second here. Community. All right, let me see if I can find it. Somewhere down here. I did a video on it recently, just talking about it. Oh, I think this is the one, yeah. So, yeah, we'll call it EIMD training. That's what it's called. It has been reported that a second damaging bout does not elicit EIMD symptoms to the same extent after recovery from the first identical bout. Why is that? Why can't you get another damaging bout after the first one when you're doing something identical? Why is that? See what I mean? Why? Because it's called RBE, in the effort to understand the RBE, the repeated bout effect phenomena. That's what they're talking about here. This attenuated response has been attributed to the phenomena often referred to. Okay, I'll explain why. Really, I'll just give you the rundown. The reason why with the same bout is that because you built muscle, it's protected. It's protected now from that same similar bout from getting damaged again when you come into the gym. You understand me? Yeah, I think this is really hard for people to understand. That's why I've explained unaccustomed, unfamiliar forms and untrained muscles get this damage. Yeah, dude. And when it does, it doesn't keep donating. It doesn't keep just because he got damaged that first time. It's not going to donate horrendous amounts of nuclei. You're going to have to move for a new adaptation to get more of them. They end at some point. That's what happens. They even tell you down here. They say, review this literature's possible mechanisms of this phenomena and divide them into three groups. What are they? Neural, mechanical, and cellular adaptations. You're getting neural, you're getting mechanical, and you're getting some cellular adaptations. There you go. What are these cellular adaptations? Muscle. They never tell you people that are lifting a heavy weight are getting cellular adaptations. They're getting neural, not cellular. The studies that proposed neural adaptation showed that greater numbers of slow twitch fibers are recruited during eccentric contractions. I want to disagree with all the things that they're talking about here. Following an initial damaging bout. Yeah, listen to what they say. Okay, I think people don't understand this. So you come back in the gym, right? And like they talked about right here, with an identical bout, okay? After recovery, after the first identical bout, there's no more damage. Okay, why is that? Because listen to what they say. The studies that proposed neuroadaptation showed that greater numbers of slow, listen to what they say. Proposed neural adaptations, okay, showed that greater numbers of slow twitch fibers are recruited during eccentric contractions following an initial damaging bout. See that? Yeah. An initial damaging bout moves into type 1. All right, when you come back to the gym. So every time, so you are an endurance athlete now, and it's sitting in there and it's protected in these type 1, these slow twitch muscle fibers. You're not busting any type 2 muscle fibers. They only ever get damaged in an adaptation. I'm sorry, man. Maybe you don't understand that, but whatever, too bad. It's hard for people to understand these things, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, let me get out of here.
They also don't realize that a lot of times strength athletes and powerlifters are trying to maximize muscle too, because that is part of the strength gaining process.
No, you don't try to maximize muscle. You get an adaptation to protect from any damage from happening. You build muscle in an adaptation. Your body gets damaged, and then it rebuilds it stronger, so then it's protected from any more muscle damage. And just like it said there, with an initial bout, there's no more damage. It attenuates, and it goes into type 1. It goes into type 1 muscle fibers. That's what it does, to protect the type 2s from getting damaged. So that's what makes it so much harder to damage, to build, to damage and grow these type 2 muscle fibers with a second bout of damaging exercise. You understand me? So if you're still coming back doing these things, these so-called exercises in the gym, you understand, now that you're adapted and you're going to do some of the same stuff in the gym, what do you need to do to try to get over the RBE so that you can get a damaging episode, so that you can grow more type 2 muscle fibers? You're going to have to move for an adaptation. If you don't understand what that means, I'm sorry, I can't explain it to you.
Yes. But they don't always emphasize the show muscles. Maybe they skip curls and stuff, and so people are like, well, they look kind of thick, but they don't look good, or because they haven't dieted down lean, they don't have biceps.
That's why all these people take steroids. They all take steroids. Louis Simmons and all his friends from West Side Barbell, they all took steroids.
That. So it creates a lot of confusion in terms of these things. Also,
oh my God, I don't need to buy.
So it creates a lot of confusion.
There's no confusion. There's no confusion.
In terms of these things. Also because you have a few statistic outliers who are stronger on a couple lifts than they look, it just makes everyone think that these are completely separate things. And again, the reality, they are not. They're absolutely not. They can be trained for concurrently. And particularly the strength end, because when you look.
Yes, they can only be trained concurrently in an adaptation. That is a training. You have to train for an adaptation. He's not training for adaptations. He's training to get better at lifting these weights. That is a separate adaptation. That is neural adaptation without cellular adaptations. Yeah. So, and he's an endurance athlete. Now, this is what I try to explain. It's moved into type 1, protecting the type 2 from getting damaged. And the only way to get them damaged is to move for an adaptation. So you need to do something that you're what? Untrained doing. Yeah. Well, I'll explain this really quick one more time. Because I don't know who's watching this video, dude. But so, well, okay, so while eccentric contractions initiate movements, eccentric contractions slow or stop them. Okay. A unique feature of eccentric exercise is that untrained subjects become stiff and sore the day afterwards because of damage to what? To muscle fibers. And when they get these damaged muscle fibers, these are cellular adaptations. Neuromechanical cellular adaptations are going to happen. Yeah. See what I mean? All right.
Look at, say, West Side Barbell, right? Look at Louis Simmons. And he's like, look, we use the max effort method here. We lift for heavy singles, right? Although some of that got changed into 1 to 3s and things. Like, right, we lift heavy. It is maxes, and we do them every week.
Yes, look at us. We lift heavy, but you aren't moving for adaptations. You are lifting heavy. Those are separate modalities. Those are separate trainings. You can train for an adaptation and get stronger and get bigger and a bunch of stuff. But just training for lifting a heavy weight will not get you cellular adaptations. They only ever happen in an adaptation. Like it says, cellular adaptations happens in an adaptation. Yeah.
We do it on 2 exercises a week. We see where we're going with this? You look at how Louis Simmons at Westside trained all his athletes.
It's like this. If you aren't getting the symptoms of exercise-induced muscle damage, the symptoms that come along with it, then you know that you've not achieved an adaptation. It's really simple. If you didn't get it, you didn't get an adaptation in muscle damage. It's really simple, bro. And it gets really hard at some point. I think around when I got to about 250, 255, it got really hard to push that domain, that myonuclear domain. At 255, I think, wow, I think at some point it was like stalling or something, and then I had to do something more severe. You definitely have to lift heavier, I could say that. But not just lifting heavy, but you have to do specific things when you're lifting that heavy weight to get an adaptation. That's the whole point. The adaptation process protects your muscles. They make them stronger by building them bigger and stronger, so they never get torn or damaged or whatever when you're lifting these weights. That's the whole point of the adaptation process. But it happens in something very vigorous. It has to be very intense, vigorous, and the duration. Let's just say that the intensity and duration of that exercise is what is going to damage that muscle, and you can't be adapted already. You understand me? You have to move for an adaptation. You can't be damaged or anything like that or whatever. Something happened there. You have to be very, I don't know how to explain this. Let's just say the muscles have to be fresh. Like his muscles aren't damaged, so he can get an adaptation right now doing this exercise. But it has to be vigorous and intense, and it has to be in a full body workout. It will not happen. It will not happen anymore. You can do them in bro splits, but man, you're gonna have to sit there forever doing one body part, and then when it does get damaged, you can't come back for a whole week. So what's the point? See what I mean? So me personally, I moved for full upper body. That's it. Full upper body, lower body. Full upper body, lower body. And you do it intensely. Then later, if you do run into these problems where, okay, I want more adaptations, but it's getting harder, you can split them up if you want to. I'm not saying you can't, because at some point, I don't know, around 255, you're going to have a hard time trying to push that domain. See what I mean? Like me, I had to, at some point, I did split it up. But then I had to sit there for such a long time trying to bust that one body part, because when you're doing all body parts, they're all getting worked at the same time. So it's an overworking of that muscle. Yeah, they're constantly getting overworked. If that's your goal moving for an adaptation, that's why it's so much easier doing full upper body. Legs, there's not so many parts getting done there. That's why you have to stay there forever and do so many sets for like squats. Man, you have to do like 27 sets for squats. Your fucking legs are dead in the end. Sometimes even 30. And whatever, it's complicated.
Lifters broke all those world records. 100 world record holders came out of West Side Bar.
Yeah, West Side Barbell, these world record holders, they all took steroids. They injected strength to go lift a heavy weight, okay?
Well,
that's
powerlifting. We lift maxes.
They never really built any muscle.
Twice a week. Okay? Twice a week. And then he's kind of like, then they do speed work and GPP, but then when you ask him, what does your breakdown look like for other stuff? He's like, well, we do 7.
If you were working out twice a week, you are adapted. I already know you are, because no muscle can get damaged and repair and remodel in that time. It's impossible. And like I said, it's really hard to get an adaptation in muscle.
70% bodybuilding work, or you would call it special act.
It's astronomically high and difficult. The bar is super high getting these adaptations.
Exercises and accessory work.
Like any yo-yo can do this, strap themselves to this machine and just go up and down a couple of times, and go over there, do a couple of push-ups and, couple of one to two lifts off the floor, Any asshole could do that, okay? Any lazy bugger could do that. It's not based on it. Listen, man, getting an adaptation in muscle damage isn't based on lazy lifting. You understand me? That's why you're not getting anywhere.
Right? And he says basically bodybuilding work.
Sure.
And it would be 8s, 10s, 15s, 20s, all these high reps. Even.
Yeah, that's bodybuilding work. But that's only based on an adaptation. You are not doing it properly. You're confusing heavy lifting with an adaptation. You don't get adaptations lifting heavy, being adapted.
Isolation movements. You start looking over there, you're like, they're training rear delts, they're training triceps, they're even sometimes doing calves. Okay? Why? Because at Westside, they understood the human body can only handle so much really heavy training, one. Number two, you only need so much heavy training. He's literally over here going, we do 2 lifts a week, and in certain phases, it would be 4. 4 heavy lifts a week. Okay, let that sink in. That was the most. 2 or 4 heavy lifts a week, so it'd be 1 upper body and 1 lower body. Like 1 type of press, 1 type of, as he would put it, a squat deadlift or a good morning. That's all they.
Wow, Blaha has become nice and skinny. He's become nice and skinny. Nice skinny boy.
Did. He was like, our maxes are 5% of our training. Okay? That's all it takes to get strong. And again, we need to be clear, this was the philosophy of Louis Simmons, who coached 100 world record holders in powerlifting over the course of his career. He coached over 100 of them.
Sure, yeah.
World record in between the different classes and divisions. 5% of your training. 5% of your training. So how much truly heavy lifting do we really need? Not a whole heck of a lot. Not a whole heck of a lot. At least not according to Louis Simmons.
What do Louis Simmons know? How to inject fucking steroids in his butt. That's about it.
Okay.
Louis Simmons, the drug addict, like Blaha, he takes drugs to lift these weights. Then he eats a bunch of carbohydrates and he pretends that he built muscle. Look, Mom, I ate carbs and I built muscle. Okay.
Could you build to a heavy triple? Could you build to a heavy AMRAP on the few lifts you care about every week? Could you take them to a max? Would you max them out every week?
He's like throwing this weight in the air, throwing it up in the air. Like, what's that doing exactly?
See, the answer is yes. What do we call that? Power building. Right? We start talking about power building at really Westside Barbell. The only difference, they weren't concerned with aesthetics or how they looked. They were just trying to gain muscle where they needed it to get stronger. So they would come.
They weren't trying to gain anything, man. They took steroids because they don't know how to gain muscle, okay? Nobody does. That's why everybody's complaining about newbie gains, newbie limit, and hard gainer, and reach my genetic limit, newbie gain limit, whatever. Okay, dude?
And wherever Louis would see the weakest links on a person.
Louis and all of them reached the same conclusion. They all reached the same thing, and then they never could bypass it because they didn't understand that it's based on an adaptation process. They're too stupid to understand that. Like it says there, it attenuates with the same repeated bout. It attenuates doing the same stuff when you came back to the gym. There's an attenuation in that damage. It's gone. There's no more damage. There's no more growth. That's it. It goes into type 1. That's it. It hides in there. It tells you that even in RBE, okay? It tells you it's an adaptation process. It's an adaptation process. It says it hides in type 1 muscle fibers. So I don't know what he's talking about. I'll bring it up quick too. Let me see. Right here, repeated bout effect phenomena. See that? Repeated bout effect is protected against muscle damage. Because why? What is it? Because it refers to what? To adaptation, whereby a single bout of eccentric exercise protects against muscle damage from subsequent eccentric bouts. That's what it does. While the mechanism for this adaptation is poorly understood, if you can't damage, then you can't build any more muscle. Get it? Because the initial bout is damage. That's what builds muscles. See that? But it says here it's protected from what? From a single bout of eccentric exercise. Protects against muscle damage from subsequent eccentric bouts. Because eccentric is what causes damage. So if it's protected, then what's going on there? There's no more muscles growing. There's no more muscles growing. Get it? See that, dude? There's no more muscles growing. It's an adaptation process. You've adapted. How does that adapt? I showed it many times to people in this map. This is where it ends. It's from this section called nuclei acquired by overload precedes hypertrophy, no loss in detraining. There's a famous map down here. Here it is. There's a famous map right here. See this famous map, dude, ski? It says untrained first training satellite cell fusion. See that? Hypertrophy. Right there, dude. See that? Right there. Untrained first training satellite cell. Hypertrophy. Look, there's no more. Detraining, retraining, there's nothing. See? Untrained. And what's a unique feature of untrained muscles? Unique feature of eccentric exercise is that untrained subjects become stiff and sore the next day due to what? Damage to muscle fibers. Yeah. And that's when they're untrained. Now, when they become trained, what happens? Let's see. Fuck. So let's find out what happens when they get when they get adapted. Oh, this is what happens after they're untrained, they become trained. Look what happens when you try to train them. Oh, see, they're protected from any more damage. Hello, there's no more muscle. Bye bye. Bye bye.
They would come in and pump the crap out of it with bodybuilding work to get it bigger.
Sure they would.
And you see where we're going with this? Why?
They pump the
Because
crap out
it
of
is well known and understood in the research, a bigger muscle has more strength potential. And if you have an individual muscle that is limiting your bench press or your squat, and you spend a bunch of time just doing tons of hypertrophy work and pump work and bodybuilding work, what happens?
Yeah.
It gets bigger and the lift goes up.
It gets bigger.
I mean,
and
and
it
he
goes
was
up.
really like, yeah, single joint exercises, isolation movements.
All right.
You have to get in there and build that muscle up. Okay? So what happens if we just apply this across the board? Because if we know
You just have to build up that muscle, bro. Yeah. Yeah, bro.
the size equals strength,
Yeah, bro. Size equals strength, bro. No, it doesn't. He's lying to you. Size doesn't equal what you can lift, because it's based on motor unit recruitment and androgen receptor.
why can't we just train like bodybuilders? We can. It works.
Why can't you train like bodybuilders? Because bodybuilders train for adaptations, you fucking Nimrod.
We train like bodybuilders, and then
I'm talking about real bodybuilders. Real bodybuilding trains for an adaptation, not like these stupid yo-yos.
come in and do a limited amount of heavy work. It only needs to be 5 to 10% of your
Yeah,
training.
whatever.
The actual heavy
Whatever.
work. And it doesn't cost you anything. People are like, well, what if it beats in America? What if it, well, if you're doing it correctly, it shouldn't. Hey, let me be clear on that. If you do it correctly, why would it interfere with your recovery? Is this a real concern? I don't think
He's funny when he gets up, man. He thinks he's like a tough guy or
that
something.
it is. I don't think that's a valid concern.
Blaha, the tough guy.
So you come in squat, bench, and deadlift heavy every week.
Oh, brother.
Then you can come in and you can just get jacked. Spend all the rest of your efforts on getting jacked. Now, could you have a couple?
Spend all your efforts on getting jacked, eating carbohydrates and getting jacked with carbs instead, yes.
Other lifts you care about, so you go lower reps, sure. Like you really care about the incline bench.
We call that pretend jacked. Look, he's got this vein through the middle of his head.
All right, you want to do some triples or fives on the incline, by all means. Okay, treat them as assistance
Oh, he didn't make it.
movements, even for your other stuff. Isn't that what powerlifting always did? But then instead of accessories coming in and saying, oh, let's focus on my weak links, just get big. Get big everywhere.
Yeah, just get big, guys. You know, work on these weak links. Just get big everywhere. Get big everywhere. If it was so easy, everybody wouldn't be complaining about newbie gains and be getting big. So what do? Eat carbohydrates. Just get fat. Get big and fat, like Blaha. Eat carbs all day. Yeah.
Train everything. Train every angle.
Train every angle.
So that you get jacked.
Train every angle, guys, just to get jacked. Yeah. Even though it reached an M&D size limit, it's protected by RBE and all these things, man. From building any more muscle, just do all the angles. That's the solution. Yes.
You get jacked so that you look good. And aesthetics is largely just a matter of muscle balance and getting.
What part do people not understand an M&D size limit says beyond where it could donate any more extranuclei to that domain sport muscle growth? It reached the ceiling limit during hypertrophic process, that process in the beginning. So you need to move for a new adaptation.
Lean enough. It's mostly what it comes down to, right? So again, the point being, we can gain muscle and strength at the same time.
You can, providing it's an adaptation. Get it, dude? Based on cellular adaptation first. Yeah.
And look at your context. How many today in the standards of powerlifting and bodybuilding today, how many elite world level powerlifters look like physique competitors?
I don't know how many.
Really common.
How many?
They look like they're almost ready to step on a bodybuilding stage or a men's physique stage.
Possibly.
How many bodybuilders out there come in and just occasionally max out and hit lifts that would put them on the world platform in powerlifting all the time?
Whatever.
Right? These are not things that are difficult to combine. They're not difficult to combine at all. Just get in and do it. All right,
Just get in and do it, guys. Come on, guys. You could do it, guys. You could do it.
guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope
Thank God, guys. You could do it. Just get in there. You're going to do it. I have faith in all of you. Yeah. Yeah. I'll see you in the next one, man. Tell me what you think about that. I have faith too. Blaha is building muscle all the time here in his garage. See you in the next one. Ciao, friends.